Welcome to Overtime Stories. If you're new here, take a moment to subscribe and join the journey. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and every bit of support truly means a lot. Mike Tomlin didn't say much this week, and that silence has Cleveland on edge. Around the league, silence from Tomlin usually means preparation is already finished. While the Browns were busy doing damage control after internal blowback surrounding Shedeur Sanders, Pittsburgh stayed quiet, locked in, and observant. As sources claim, Tomlin and his defensive staff spent extra film hours dissecting Cleveland's recent breakdowns, focusing less on Sanders as a talent and more on how the Browns are failing to protect him structurally. That's where this gets dangerous. The Bears' loss exposed predictable sequencing, slow developing concepts, and hesitation baked into Cleveland's offense. Tomlin sees blood in the water. League insiders say Pittsburgh's defensive install for this matchup was built backward, starting with what unsettles young quarterbacks the fastest: disguise pressure, late safety rotation, and forcing second guesses before the snap. Tomlin doesn't need chaos, he creates confusion. As sources claim, Steelers defenders were drilled heavily on showing one look pre-snap and rotating late, baiting Cleveland into protection calls that have already failed on tape. That's not guesswork, that's targeting. Sorry to interrupt, but hit that subscribe button real quick. It really helps the channel grow. The Browns' instability made this easier. Emergency meetings, reshuffled practice scripts, and tightened media messaging all signal a team reacting, not controlling. Tomlin hunts reactive teams. The Steelers believe Cleveland is trying to fix everything at once, which usually leads to hesitation. Hesitation is death at quarterback. Sanders doesn't need to play bad for this to unravel. He just needs to be late once or twice. Tomlin's defenses live for that moment. Sources say Pittsburgh has emphasized collapsing the pocket vertically rather than chasing edge pressure, forcing Sanders to reset repeatedly. Resetting slows processing. Slow processing feeds turnovers. Meanwhile, Cleveland's staff is scrambling to simplify without looking scared. That balance is hard, very hard. Analysts believe Tomlin wants to test Cleveland's communication early, hitting them with simulated pressure and pulling it back at the snap. That forces protection calls to declare. Once declared, the defense attacks the weak link. The Steelers aren't chasing sacks, they're chasing doubt. This isn't trash talk week, it's chess. And Tomlin has already studied Cleveland's tells. That's why the Browns are in full damage control mode before the game even arrives. When Tomlin goes quiet, it's because the trap is already set. Behind the scenes, Cleveland knows exactly why this matchup feels heavier than usual. As sources claim, the Browns' coaching staff has been warned internally that Pittsburgh's defensive prep looks different this week. Not louder, not flashier, sharper. Tomlin's approach isn't about blitzing nonstop, it's about forcing quarterbacks to diagnose under stress. The Bears already proved Cleveland struggles with in-game adjustment speed. Tomlin plans to press that weakness. Steelers defenders have reportedly been coached to rotate coverage late and attack the mesh point timing Cleveland relies on. That matters because timing routes are fragile when confidence is shaky. One mistimed throw changes everything. Cleveland's response has been frantic. Practice schedules were adjusted mid-week, with added emphasis on quick game concepts and emergency protection checks. That sounds smart, but insiders say the offense now looks split between simplifying and overthinking. That's a bad mix. Tomlin loves when opponents second-guess themselves. Analysts point out that the Steelers excel at forcing offenses into uncomfortable halves where no adjustment feels fully right. Sanders' biggest challenge won't be pressure, it will be patience. Tomlin's defenses dare quarterbacks to force plays that aren't there. Cleveland's internal pressure makes forcing more likely. As sources claim, Brown's leadership fears an early mistake could collapse momentum fast. That fear bleeds into play calling. Conservative early calls followed by urgent late calls create predictability. Predictability feeds defense.
Pittsburgh is ready. Steelers players have dropped subtle hints in interviews, praising discipline and communication without naming Cleveland. That's code. It signals confidence. Meanwhile, Cleveland's messaging sounds controlled and tight, the tone of a team trying to steady nerves. Tomlin smells that. He's built a career punishing teams that play not to lose. The Steelers aren't just preparing for Sanders, they're preparing for Stefanski's hesitation. As sources claim, Tomlin's game plan specifically attacks Cleveland's tendency to shrink the playbook after negative drives. That's when Pittsburgh strikes hardest. The Browns know it. That's why internal meetings have focused on staying aggressive. A phrase that usually means aggression is already fading. This isn't about talent gaps, it's about stability. Right now, Pittsburgh has it, Cleveland doesn't. and Tomlin has no problem letting that imbalance decide the game. The scariest part for Cleveland is that Tomlin doesn't need Sanders to melt down to win this. He just needs discomfort. As sources claim, Pittsburgh's defensive focus is on disrupting rhythm, not racking up highlights. That means muddy pockets, delayed pressure, and forcing throws a half second early. The Bears already showed that Cleveland's offense struggles when timing is disrupted. Tomlin took notes. Steelers linebackers have reportedly been drilled on reading Sanders' eyes, baiting short throws while safeties creep into passing lanes late. That's a trap young quarterbacks walk into all the time. Cleveland's counter has been to emphasize fast decisions, but fast decisions without clear reads turn dangerous quickly. Analysts say this matchup feels like a stress test of Cleveland's internal communication. Protection checks, receiver adjustments, and sideline feedback must be flawless. That's hard when confidence is already under strain. As sources claim, the Browns have increased scripted plays early, hoping to establish rhythm before Tomlin's adjustments kick in. That's risky. Scripted success can vanish the moment defenses adapt. Tomlin's strength is mid-game control. He lets teams show their hand, then clamps down. Pittsburgh's offense doesn't even need fireworks. Short fields and controlled drives keep pressure on Cleveland. Pressure compounds mistakes. Steelers defenders reportedly believe the Browns will try to hide Sanders early, then open things up later. That staggered approach plays right into Tomlin's patience. He waits. Cleveland tightens. The cycle repeats. Meanwhile, Browns leadership is watching closely. This game isn't just another divisional matchup, it's a temperature check on the entire direction of the team. Lose badly here and internal questions explode. That awareness creeps into preparation whether anyone admits it or not. Tomlin thrives in those moments. He's coached against chaos his entire career. As sources claim, Pittsburgh views this as a chance to control the AFC North narrative early. Control starts with psychological pressure. Sanders is talented, but talent doesn't erase confusion. Cleveland must be clean, decisive, and unified. Pittsburgh just needs to stay patient. That's why the Browns feel like they're already reacting before kickoff. Tomlin isn't loud. He's precise, and precision is terrifying when the other side is scrambling. League analysts are already calling this a coaching mismatch moment, not a quarterback showdown. As sources claim, Tomlin's preparation targets Cleveland's decision-making hierarchy, forcing Stefanski to choose between protecting Sanders and trusting him. That choice is brutal. Protect too much, and the offense stalls. Trust too fast, and mistakes explode. Tomlin pressures that decision relentlessly. Steelers' defensive calls are designed to force sideline intervention, making Stefanski react instead of lead. That's dangerous. Cleveland's sideline communication has already been questioned. Add Tomlin's chess moves and cracks widen.
Analysts say Pittsburgh will test Cleveland's nerve early with disguised coverages that look friendly but turn hostile post-snap. That forces quarterbacks to reprocess on the fly. Sanders can do that, but only if the structure supports him. Right now, Cleveland's structure is shaky. The Browns' defensive unit feels that pressure too. Long fields, sudden turnovers, and short rest wear defenses down fast. Tomlin knows this. Pittsburgh's offense will play ball control, forcing Cleveland's defense to stay on the field. Fatigue creates mental mistakes. Mental mistakes feed momentum. This isn't flashy football. It's calculated suffocation. As sources claim, Tomlin views this as a patience war. Cleveland's anxiety shortens patience. Steelers players sense it. Quiet confidence has replaced trash talk. That's when Pittsburgh is most dangerous. The Browns' internal focus has shifted from dominance to survival. That shift changes energy. Players feel it, coaches feel it, fans feel it. Tomlin exploits that shift every time. He doesn't need a blowout, he needs control. Once control is established, panic does the rest. Analysts warn that if Cleveland falls behind early, play calling could spiral fast. Desperation invites turnovers. Turnovers invite disaster. This matchup feels like a referendum on organizational stability. One side is calm, the other is tense. Football always sides with calm. That's why Cleveland is in damage control mode before the first snap. They know what's coming. They just don't know how to stop it. Inside Cleveland's building, urgency has replaced confidence, and that's never a good trade. As sources claim, leadership meetings have centered on controlling narrative as much as controlling the game. That's dangerous. When teams start thinking about optics, focus slips. Pittsburgh doesn't care about optics. Tomlin cares about leverage. Every down is leverage. Every hesitation is leverage gained. Browns players reportedly feel the weight of this matchup, knowing a bad showing will amplify every existing criticism. That pressure leaks into execution. False starts, missed assignments, rush throws. It adds up. Steelers defenders are trained to sense that tension. They push, then pull back, waiting for the moment frustration peaks. Analysts believe Tomlin will unleash pressure selectively, not constantly. That keeps Sanders guessing. Guessing slows reactions. Slowed reactions lead to mistakes. Cleveland's plan hinges on early success. Early success is fragile. One negative play can flip the script. That's what makes this dangerous. The Browns must be perfect longer than Pittsburgh does. Perfection is hard under stress. As sources claim, Tomlin has already mapped Cleveland's adjustment tendencies from recent games. When the Browns struggle, they simplify. When they simplify, defenses sit on routes. That's the trap. The Steelers are ready to spring it. Cleveland's defense will fight, but fighting uphill drains energy. Energy loss shows late. Late mistakes decide games. This isn't hype, it's pattern recognition. Tomlin lives off patterns. That's why his silence is loud. Cleveland's coaching staff knows this is a measuring stick. Fail here, and internal trust fractures further. Succeed, and some noise quiets. The margin is thin, the pressure is heavy, and the opponent thrives in moments exactly like this. Damage control isn't a strategy, it's a warning sign. Tomlin reads warning signs better than anyone in this division. This game will reveal far more than a scoreline, and everyone around the league knows it. As sources claim, executives, analysts, and rival coaches are watching how Cleveland responds to Tomlin's pressure as a case study in organizational resilience. Sanders doesn't need to be perfect, he needs support. Whether that support shows up will define the narrative. Tomlin's strategy isn't personal, it's professional. Exploit instability, force clarity, punish hesitation. Cleveland's best hope is composure, but composure is hard when stakes feel personal. Every early snap matters. Every adjustment matters. This is where leadership shows. Tomlin has been here countless times. Cleveland hasn't. The Steelers don't need chaos. Cleveland brings it themselves. If the Browns settle, adapt, and protect rhythm, they survive. If not, the damage control phase turns into a full-blown crisis. The league has seen this movie before. The quiet coach usually wins. As kickoff approaches, the tension keeps rising. One side is steady, the other is bracing. The pressure surrounding this matchup keeps escalating, and now the ripple effects are moving beyond Cleveland and Pittsburgh into the wider AFC conversation. As sources claim, rival coaching staffs are already studying how Mike Tomlin approaches fractured teams because this situation has become a live teaching tape. The Browns are no longer just preparing for a game, they are defending their identity. Every meeting, every practice rep, every sideline exchange is being judged internally for signs of control or collapse. Tomlin understands this dynamic better than anyone. His strategy is built on patience and inevitability. Apply stress, wait for confirmation, then attack the moment certainty disappears. Cleveland's biggest enemy right now isn't Pittsburgh's defense, it's hesitation. Analysts say hesitation shows up first in footwork, then in play selection, and finally in communication breakdowns. Once that chain starts, it's hard to stop. As sources claim, the Steelers have emphasized situational dominance, focusing heavily on third downs, red zone snaps, and sudden change possessions. Those are moments where confidence matters more than scheme. Cleveland has struggled there recently. Tomlin is counting on that trend. Browns leadership knows this game could shape weeks of headlines, which adds invisible weight to every decision. Invisible weight slows reaction time. Slower reactions benefit disciplined defenses. Pittsburgh thrives on discipline. Sanders will be tested mentally more than physically. Tomlin's goal isn't to overwhelm, it's to exhaust. Exhaustion leads to shortcuts. Shortcuts lead to turnovers. Cleveland's counter has been repetition, drilling the same looks repeatedly to build comfort. That helps, but only if the looks stay consistent. Tomlin won't allow that. Expect constant variation, late movement, and deceptive simplicity. The Browns coaching staff must stay unified when things get uncomfortable. Any sign of sideline frustration becomes fuel. Players read body language faster than play calls. As sources claim, Tomlin preaches emotional control as much as tactical execution. That philosophy wins close games. Cleveland's emotional state feels fragile. Fragile teams crack under sustained pressure. This isn't about trash talk or rivalry hype, it's about composure versus urgency.
One side is calm, the other is racing the clock. The longer the game stays tight, the heavier that imbalance becomes. This chapter of the season may be remembered as the moment Cleveland either steadied itself or splintered further under stress. Sources say the front office understands the optics are brutal if preparation looks frantic again. That's why emphasis has shifted towards simplicity without surrender, clarity without fear. Meetings are shorter, instructions tighter, and leadership voices more focused. Whether that translates on the field remains the unanswered tension driving this week. Tomlin has no interest in mercy. He believes pressure reveals truth. Cleveland must decide what truth it wants revealed. Survival requires discipline, not heroics. Discipline demands trust across the entire sideline. If that trust fractures, the outcome writes itself fast. Every snap becomes a message, every adjustment a statement, and every hesitation a spotlight moment that echoes through locker rooms, offices, and future decisions across the franchise during this defining stretch ahead. That contrast tells the whole story. Stay locked in for how this unfolds. Like the video and subscribe for more NFL breakdowns as this AFC North Storm keeps building.